Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to Chasing Banners, the official podcast of the Southern Connecticut Conference. I'm Al Carbone, commissioner of the SCC, and welcome to episode 5. We've made it. Glad to be here. John Steady, Matt Conyers. Guys, did you get through the snowstorm all right?
What snowstorm?
That's right. You were in Hawaii. Life's tough. Life's tough as all of Brantford loves you, giving you great compliments on the podcast. I have to do a little bit more of a marketing effort. Matt, what do you think?
I think John didn't know there was a snowstorm because half his neighbors cleared it out for him. Everybody loves John. We should preface this by the fact that we've gotten some reviews, which is very nice. But the main one is they like John. They're not sure about the short guy and the bald guy yet. So.
Yeah, no. The only comment is that, wow, in real life, you are taller than Matt, the guy with the tie.
Can you tell them a little bit about your T-shirt design fiasco?
It wasn't a fiasco. It was, John.
Well,
we were all the same height.
We were all the same height. We're not. Spoiler.
But what the audience should know is one member of the podcast was more upset than other people that were all the same height.
Well, it's kind of like I need to have blue M&Ms in my, green room before we go on. So fun facts about 5, right? 5th episode. 5's a prime number. And the only prime number that is the sum of 2 consecutive prime numbers, 2 and 3. Don't say this is not an educational-based show. It's also the Winter Olympics coming up, right? Absolutely. So the 5 Olympic rings. You know what those connotate or those mean, the Olympic rings, 5?
I do not.
5 continents. But aren't there like 7 continents now?
Correct, yeah.
So, that was the Olympics. So that's what they represent. So America, Africa, Eurasia, Australia, and then Antarctica.
Interesting.
So little facts here before we get into sports. And then famous, because we talk about movies, famous movies have had 5 parts or 5 editions.
What's your favorite? Okay, what is your favorite 5th movie then?
The 5th movie. The one, because we're coming off, Die Hard has had 5.
Oh, it was not good.
Yeah,
I only remember the first one. That was the Christmas
5.
movie.
It ends after Vengeance.
Jason Bourne, the Bourne series.
Yeah, it's
and
not good
here's
either.
the other one,
Good books.
Indiana Jones.
Interesting.
Has there been a good 5th movie? That's the question. I hope.
I don't think so because
yes.
we might have. This is probably the last part of the movie thing.
The mood that we're coming in here with this podcast, we're not getting to 6 either. It sounds
3 was
like.
great. 4, we got it. 5, we've kind of extended off to the numerical stuff. So it is Super Bowl, right? Pats fans, Seahawks fans. So we got a trivia. Doug, the esteemed Doug, throwing our graphic out there. So
This is a great trivia question.
it is a great trivia question.
Great trivia.
We're going to give you the answers because there's a background to it. So 2 SCC stakeholders, right, have won Super Bowl rings. I asked this question to the guys before.
We got one.
We got one. The other one is actually somewhat current. So Matt, you can answer it because you answered it. First one, the first person. And here's the fun fact. Neither of these guys actually played in the Super Bowl.
Do we want to? Wait, Driscoll,
Jack Driscoll
was the one that came off the right, and then quickly
played for the Eagles. They beat the Chiefs 2 years ago. He was hurt. He was on injured reserve. He did play, so he would have played.
And now the other one for sports fans out there is easy to catch if you get a little bit of a clue. So can I offer a little bit of a clue?
Yes.
30 for 30.
Yes.
If you're a sports fan,
okay.
You've probably seen a lot of 30 for 30s. If you're a Connecticut sports fan, your antenna should go up based on that.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
All right, and we'll leave it at that.
That's why we have comments. That's why we have gear ready to go.
You want to give some of these away. At some point, you want to give one of these hats away.
Yeah, I want someone to come run up to me at the indoor track championship and say, boom, and I'll be like, got it.
No, they only do that for John. I'll
have to give him to John because that's who's going to be watching it. So, all right, so it's winter season. It's the end of January. Playoff season starts. But what's been going on, right? So we've had some coaching milestones in the league. So we'll start. Jared Beck from Hamden, boys basketball coach, 200th win. Renard Sutton from Hill House boys basketball got his 300th win last week. And the crowning achievement, our favorite girls basketball coach / AD, Timmy Coes from Mercy.
I think he might
He's
be the only one.
right?
He's the only-
It's Timmy
most
time.
give up the basketball job.
Hopefully
after,
he watches this, right?
No shot.
No shot. But most of the other people, maybe Mercy. So got his 600th win last week. I happened to be in attendance. Great job by the Mercy staff to recognize former players, and we'll talk a little bit about. But leads to the question for me is, what constitutes a milestone? Like, okay, 600. Like, there's only 5 in the state. Congratulations to Tim. You've done it long enough. Like, just joking. Is he really that good of a coach? No. We love you, Timmy. So
he's my boss. So I'm not throwing anything.
300 though is a milestone. If you 15 seasons of 15 wins, that's impressive.
15 times 15, yeah.
Well,
That's
15 times 20, right?
15.
Is 300.
So
Yeah, so 225.
Yeah.
So that's impressive.
300 in basketball is very impressive.
Yeah.
So when we outline our podcasts, we don't completely come in here off the cuff. When Al sent the outline for this evening's podcast, one of them was what makes a milestone. My first thing was not regardless of numbers, more of like what is the right milestone for each sport.
Correct.
So each sport has a different set of games. So like for basketball, you're playing 20. I think 200 probably is the starting point, but maybe for a track coach or a cross country coach, that 100 seems to make more sense.
Football
Certainly you have
quite a few.
You got to get through at least 10. That's 10 perfect seasons. But
Well, you're not
essentially,
going to do that. So
you're not going to do
it.
it.
13 or 14 seasons as a football coach, which is a decent number.
Yeah. Or you could be like 50, like Scott Gurr from
I
Scout
think
Baseball, who celebrated it 50th. 50
You're just
wins
you're gonna call out people right now.
We're calling out people.
I hope you're friendly with them.
Yeah. If Festivus is over, New Year, I need to get the ratings up. So
You did say you're going to play some ISO ball tonight, so if that's what you're going to do, we will give that ball to you on that one.
Yeah.
No, I think the question is where do you come in when it comes to basketball, hockey, soccer? I think 200, 250 is that right mix. I know in basketball when I was at Xavier, we celebrated Mike Cose's, I believe 250. He's now I think at 300 there. I better get that right. But 600, going back to what started all this, that's rarefied air. That's what makes it.
So fun fact: the Coase family. You talked about Tim,
over 1,000
Mike,
wins, right?
And then his father Artie, who used to be, who coached. He coached Xavier.
Yeah.
So 1,400 wins, maybe, in the family.
Wins.
No, not that many.
No, I was going to say
1,000.
I was going to say
1,100
1,100 to 1,200.
Wow, that's a lot.
That might be a little bit on the high side, but I don't think any family in any sport has anything that constitutes a milestone quite like that. Can you
probably,
think off the record?
No,
That's 3 coaches.
That's a good one.
That has any family beyond the Coase family in the state of Connecticut topped 1,000 wins as a total.
The Rileys, maybe.
Yeah,
right,
maybe,
because the
maybe.
Rileys, because of East Catholic, Luke's, right, and then the father or.
I don't think it's that high. I don't think it's that high.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that high.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good. That's a good.
I mean
the research staff of Chasing Banners will kind of go through.
We will get that for you next
we'll get
podcast
Here's
if it happens.
Yeah,
Another
if it
one
happens.
for you that you might have even played for him was Ted Kaczynski from Brantford, who I think only had 200, but he had 200 in boys and 200 in girls.
Yeah.
And at one point was one of the only people in the state that had hit 200 in both boys and girls basketball.
David Shea in Colchester did that, right? At Bacon Academy at some point he did multiple wins in both girls.
I didn't know that, but I know he just passed away, right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Did you play for Ted Kaczynski?
No, I didn't. No. But John, right into the Brantford. Right?
East Haven. I was going right to the East Haven.
Okay, wait. Okay, but he won all his championships with Brantford. So, all right. So, coach, but it's hard. Let's just be honest, right? There's a lot of turnover in coaching high school. So we've talked about the great ones, like we talked about football. We talked about the Steve Filippones and who are league, and there's not a lot of coaches right now. Like we talked about last show, John Ferrazzi from Shan, who's a young guy who's been probably coaching now 15, going on 20 years, one of the veterans, in the league. So yeah, coaching's hard, right? It's high school coaching is hard. We've seen the turnover of of coaches. So congratulations to those guys getting the milestones. I think, and I know Amanda Farcucci from Hamden girls basketball
Correct,
is
yep.
approaching a milestone as well. She used to coach at Laurelton Hall before.
We should have an announcement about that fairly soon, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. Hopefully, so.
What stands out is to a lot of these coaches that get close to those 500, 600, they're so driven, so obsessed. And I don't think it would be a mistake to say Tim Coase fits into that category. Often doesn't get caught up in the celebration, the pomp and circumstance. But Al, you were there. I was there. It was kind of one of the highlights of that night for me was seeing somebody who never wants his name in the spotlight and never wants his name in the limelight. Crack a smile when he looked up. It was a nice scene, John. 600 signs all around the Mercy Gymnasium, and even in that brief moment, a guy very focused on game situations and championships. You could see that he realized what it was and where that put him. We joke, but I think our league's been lucky to have Tim Coase as one of the ambassadors out there for us.
Is your review coming up or something like that? I asked him in the fourth quarter. He's up by like 25
I just
points.
got
If I can
in.
coach the fourth quarter, just show my skills. Get the thing. So we're really 5.99 in 3 quarters. But congratulations to those coaches. Good segment and always good. But I think it's really nice, especially when you have these coaches who have been there. It says a lot about the high school experience. So we're coming up to winter playoffs, right? It's going to start quick. And we've said this along. Like, let's talk about relive the moments. Like and I've been commissioner 22 years. John, you've been here longer. Matt, you've been longer, even covering it. Now being involved, in a couple of our schools. There's been some really great moments. We have some really, and like to pick a few, like off the top of our head, just as we prepare for the winter playoffs. And so, like, we have one trivia question, which again, the gear is here, ready to give out. Right, it's nice. But who's won what schools won the most winter league playoff titles? So we're coming. Winter is a busy time. The 2 basketballs, the 2 ice hockeys, the 2 tracks.
I was surprised by
gymnastics.
this answer.
Yes.
I was surprised by this
So comment. Hopefully, I'll put the comments on the YouTube. But John, as you're going, food shopping on the weekends, the people of Brantford.
Well, we have to give the Brantford shout out because we sit here in this beautiful.
Yes, no, it
studio.
it is, and watching other podcasts from this too,
absolutely,
and showing that. So, all right, so let's do like the SCC Rushmore. So indoor track has been one of our more successful sports. Like last year, we had 4 state champions in boys. Hill House girls have won, I think, 3 in a row, done very well. But let's talk about one of the best moments. And I know, John, this is your example because
absolutely,
a couple years ago and probably one of the best to come out of the league. So
Gary Moore Jr. at the SCC championship
from Hill House,
from Hill House, absolutely. But it's very even hard to describe the moment. But he was throwing to break the state record.
Shot put indoors, right? Yeah.
And every single time he came up to the line, the whole entire place stopped and everybody watched. And the energy in that place was incredible. And just watching, he was so good. But watching that moment and just watching everybody stop, and that was a great moment. But that's one of the things I love about indoor track. When you're late in the meet and somebody's about to clear something in pole vault, the whole place is into that one event. Indoor track the championships are a fun place to be. They definitely are. Yeah,
John, one thing that was special, too, to add to that was they did bring him to the center of the championship, and everybody was able to acknowledge. Often, throwers are commonly tell you nobody knows what's going on over there. But in that one moment, all the lights were on Gary Moore. And everybody knew going in he was going for it. So it was nice to see for throwing to get that highlight as well, for the meet to stop, the throwers to all circle around him. And everybody in the arena couldn't avoid the news.
And I think that's a great example to start off. And so we'll talk about so we have boys swimming. So like Fairfield Prep is one of the most state league titles in that kind of 30 plus years. But we had a diver from Daniel Hand, Teddy Zhang, a couple years ago. Actually, in the late 17, 18, 19, 3-time all SCC champion, 2-time All-American, ends up going to Duke and diving for Duke. Talking about like where everyone stops. When he was getting up on the board, everyone stopped to watch. And I had a a friend who was a parent of a diver and said like it was like captivated, like he just looked forward to watching him dive, and like that's what we talk about, the uniqueness of like the Gary Moores of like when we have these ability. We'll talk about that in basketball a little bit about how captivating and then you do look at it as so the next one is like the team sport, wrestling.
Yeah, I wanted to mention this, Al, and you looked right at me because I have thrown my flowers out to the Xavier program, but it is, you know, there's two types of people. There's the people that root against the Tiger Woods, and then there are the people that root for Tiger Woods. When you see greatness happening, do you go against it or do you try and get on board? And to me, watching the Xavier program rise up, they had some success in the early 2010s, but then what they're doing now is remarkable, and our conference may never see it again. So just recently, for them to almost to take aim at 300 points in a team championship is just crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. So to me, as a fellow coach, as somebody who calls himself a sports historian, to see that, I appreciate that. It's remarkable, and if you know anything about a wrestling, that's not missing. That's almost pitching a perfect game.
Right.
Quite a phenomenal job, and sometimes we just have to sit back and savor what's going on. Like when Ed Aston was doing what he was doing at Cheshire. Like again, there were people like, "Oh, why do I have to see this story again?" Well, because you're never going to see it ever again. That's why. So our league has been fortunate. You know, Gary Moore went on to go to Baylor, then Kansas State. Sometimes I think we need to sit back and marvel at what is going on, and that's why I keep mentioning Xavier Wrestling, because it's a comet right now that we won't see.
And just flipping back to indoor track, another one who I was always admired was Danae Rivers from Wilbur Cross, who went to Penn State. Yep. You know, and like you're talking about like phenomenal athletes, you know, multi players of the year, all state, all, you know, open, all that stuff. And so like, that's pretty amazing. And it's, and as you said, like, this is what you relish about the high school sports experience. You're watching this greatness, and then, you know, you're excited about what comes. So next, let's turn to the gymnastics. Now, like Daniel Hand, you know, Kelly Smith has done a phenomenal job running the program. At Daniel Hand, they have like 26 titles. But there was one year now, and I'm laughing there at those who know me. You know, we go to the gymnastics championship, and Jonathan Law does a great job running the events first class. But in 2020, in February of 2020, this is all before COVID. So like, we had the closest margin of victory. Jonathan Law won by 0.2 points over Mercy to win the SCC title. And I'm laughing inside because I'm saying is we should have had a recount. You look at, but you're talking about like a movement where these judges, gave a point or a deduction, and that was the difference between winning a championship, raising the banner, and not. So I always remember that 2020 of like 0.2 points, and it just, we talk about track over like first, second place and milliseconds, and we have everything timed. But in gymnastics, it could just become, of the movement. And we've seen some great gymnasts over the years. So, and this year we'll actually be with the Shoreline Conference, adding some of their teams for a bigger championship. So I always laugh about that, of like the closest margin of victory for a championship.
And I think the other thing we're always on the watch for at our championships is how long has it been since the last one happened, the title droughts that go on. And I can remember back to the days when I was a reporter, when we were all tracking Hamden hockey, and when Hamden hockey was going to end that drought, when Bill Benares was the coach. Right. And I that still stands out today to me, the amount of people that came out from the community to watch Hamden finally win that state title. Right. I always like, those are the memorable ones for me too, when those droughts end. You could go, everybody filled in at Yale. Yeah. Sorry, I think I got some of the coffee there, but my apologies. But that whole Yale place was packed and ready to go to see that moment. And I know you had another one for hockey you were going to mention.
Well, I say in boys ice hockey, like it's probably one of our more, our winter sports have been phenomenal statewide.
The SCC championship winter season.
Yes.
Always brings great memories.
Yeah.
When we talk about this on our next podcast, we will have incredible things to talk about, I guarantee.
Right. And so I say, from hockey, we didn't have a league playoff for a number. We started when the league started, and then the coaches didn't want it, and it was a good lobbying effort by the new commissioner to get that going. Thanks to Larry Vieira, who was the Brantford coach, another Brantford shout out. Got the Division II one back in 2005-06, and then 7 years later, we lobbied and cajoled and made niceties with the Division I coaches to get a Division I playoff. When we went to Quinnipiac, we had a doubleheader. It was Hand and Brantford in the D2 game, and then Fairfield Prep and Notre Dame in the D1. But I think going forward, the most memorable one was we actually have a shootout, right? So they don't have to play overtime. So it was 2000, I think it was 16, we had a shootout, but really 2023, probably Bennett Rink was rocking. James Haber was the goalie for Prep. He had lost his father earlier in the season, kind of went through, probably played a phenomenal March. They beat Notre Dame in the SCC finals, and 2 weeks later, I've never seen more people on the hockey rink at Quinnipiac that night in the state Division I final, and he had like 40 saves, and they beat Notre Dame 3-0. Like, just a great memory, great story. Got to know the kid, and but like proud of our hockey. And you say Hamden of the teams that we have. So
our first shootout, I'm pretty sure it was the first shootout at Bennett Rink, when that was an amazing night because nobody was expecting us to go to a shootout.
Right.
We were sitting in the penalty box watching the time click down, and then the coaches are like, what do we do? And you're like, we're doing a shootout. And I remember some of the coaches were talking about not having practiced for it at that point. But it was the energy in the place was amazing.
Yeah.
I can't mention hockey without mentioning Fairfield Prep's run there when they were able to just they came in again, great crowds with the bomb squad.
Right.
They would show up, and the tenor and the feel of the tournament would just change when they entered the building. And no matter what, their record could be 9-10, 8-12. You knew they were going to make a run, and that's another thing about appreciating those dynasties when they happen, and Fairfield Prep certainly had one of them. Yeah.
And we've been lucky too because we added girls ice hockey, so that's been a sport now going on for a little bit over a decade. A couple years ago, our final was West Haven Sacred Heart Co-op against Hamden, double overtime. Both goalies had like 40 saves, and it was like it went back and forth, and who was going to get that goal. And I remember West Haven, I think it was Juliana Picard, right? Yep, right. Because there was sisters. Her sister played last year. Overtime, like great. And I remember Joe Morrell, who's the West Haven AD, former hockey coach, but he kind of our girls hockey chair, saying you can't replicate this experience right now. It was a great crowd. Both teams had just a lot of support, and just for saying, you're so proud of that. And that's the fun part of it.
Before we move on from hockey, we didn't even mention the Division II. Our Division II hockey championship, which is always a huge crowd.
Oh, yeah.
We have North Haven, who's had some runs. We've had some amazing games in the Division II game, which has been around longer than the Division I
But you
game.
look at it, we've dominated that at the state level. East Haven, Cheshire, Amity,
North Haven.
Amity went, North Haven, Lyman Hall.
Absolutely.
Brantford. When they had the team. Even North Brantford, who's come to our league, has been successful.
You said Cheshire?
Oh, yeah, Cheshire. So it's been... We've been pretty blessed with that quality of hockey, of staying at the level. And that's why hockey does it right, because they stay at that Division II level, be successful in the state. So our final two sports, right, in the winter, girls and boys basketball. So so we mentioned him before, Tim Coase, but like Tim Coase is the Marv Levy of the SCC, right? So early 2010, he goes to the Class L finals 3 years in a row. Matt, you're like shaking your head. You got to say something nice about him or something like this. But they lose in the finals 3 years.
He won 3 state titles. But yeah.
I know that. 1997, like that. So he had a great player too, in Jen O'Brien, who's like the greatest player in the league history. So Mercy loses in the state finals 3 years in a row. It's 2013. They're playing Laurelton Hall, who ultimately the next year comes to our league. Great team. Mohegan Sun. All right, so they give up a basket. They're down 2 points, right? 3 seconds left. You can watch it on YouTube. Sheena Landy, right? Sheena, this is your Chasing Banners mention, right? Fellow Trinity person. So giving you your props, but you've been asking for the mention. So here you are. Throws the half court pass to, is it Cassie Santoro? I think it is, right? because they had the Santoro sisters that played for, right? She caught it and then threw it to Maria Wesley,
Yep.
who the Valpo 1998 NCAA tournament. All I can remember is Tim Coe's running on the court, jumping up in his Doc Martin boots that he wore and his corduroy pants and his long sleeve Mercy coaching shirt. And then going back of knowing, oh my God, I got to go shake the hand. So great moment.
You can't top that.
Can't top it. But I will top, and we've talked about before, Brantford upsetting Hill House at the first time we were at Quinnipiac.
Yes.
Ted Kaczynski. Second shout out.
That was that run was amazing during that era, and clearly I have familial ties to that run, so
Yeah.
I'm a little partial to that run.
Right.
But they beat Cross, Career, Mercy, and Hill House
Yeah.
to get through that. And
Right.
at that time, all the city schools were amazing in girls
yeah.
basketball. Every
Yeah.
team was good. Mercy was good. Hill House,
Yeah.
Cross, Career was great at that time. So that was quite the run.
Hill House had literally a WNBA player in
they
Bria
did.
Holmes and Adriana Thomas, who
Absolutely.
ended up going to Hofstra, and a couple of young kids. Like,
There was so many Division I women's basketball players in
Right.
the league at that time,
Mm-hmm.
even ones that didn't even make it to that tournament at that time. Kerry Wallach from Han,
wow, yeah.
Doolin,
Yeah,
Casey
right.
Doolin,
Yeah.
Courtney Schisler. There was so much talent.
And Courtney
in the league at
Schisler
that
is
time.
probably one of the best athletes in the SCC. You know,
all
like
time.
as you
Right.
said, and we think we mentioned it on
Yes,
previous
we did.
podcasts. So
a fun run.
So girls basketball, we've had some good luck. So now let's go to boys basketball. So we've got to set the scene, right? So this year, right, we talked about Notre Dame, the evil empire. Abdou Touré is going to Arkansas. Shout out to Eric Dobratz for being at Brantford, right? To see him get, I don't know if we have to do a HIPAA laws. I apologize, but he got a thigh bruise, and so hopefully everything's all right. But credit to Eric Dobratz for tweeting that. So Eric, watch the podcast, right? You get to mention. So 2017, we had a similar situation. Tremont Waters transferred. I forgot the prep school that he came
remember
from,
either.
but he went to Notre Dame, back to Notre Dame for his senior year. He had been committed to Georgetown, and it was like big, and like people came to watch every game, packed. We get to the league tournament, and we're in the semifinals. We're at the Floyd Little, and I'm sitting at press row with Eric Patskowski, who's the New Haven City AD. And Wilbur Cross is up 5 points with like 2 minutes to go, and he looks at me and he's like, "You're not going to get your final that you're waiting for," because Hill House on the other side of the bracket was undefeated too. They hadn't played. Water scores like the last 10 points in the last 2 minutes, and they win by
the game
5.
over.
So we have the game. So we're at Quinnipiac. John, like I've never seen more people in that arena. We sold pre-sale tickets at the schools. This is 2017, before kind of online ticketing really came on. There were people scalping tickets. It's probably the most anticipated game
You
ever.
had people at the arena at 3:00 in the
Yes.
afternoon,
Yes.
waiting to get in line
Yeah.
for the game.
Yeah. People calling me up, like calling up for tickets and this and that. And like, and like, I'm thinking back right now saying, why did we only charge $10 a ticket?
It was only
Or was
There
it
he is.
$8 a ticket? Like what were we thinking?
It was only the second time, I believe, that arena had been sold out.
Yes.
Quinnipiac
Yeah.
sold it out when they played the conference championship and lost. Had
Yeah.
a chance to go to the NCAA tournament
Right.
that year, but that was only the second time. And I think the SEC has sold it out twice, haven't they?
Yes. Yes.
So it might only have sold out 3 times for basketball.
Yeah.
And the SEC's done it twice.
yeah. So
Could do it again.
Yeah. So very interested to see how we're going to do. And then Hill House ends up winning the game, and then goes and wins the Class LL state title. And that was a great team too. And they had just honored the team from 2006 just a couple weeks ago, which was awesome too. They had won Mikey Moore, who ended up playing at Hofstra. Like, what a great team. Kermit Carolina was the coach. But
As we're talking about
Good things.
basketball, we were going to talk earlier. I was on vacation, sitting around last week, and
life's tough. Life's
watching-
tough as one of the podcast
Well,
co-hosts.
We don't get to vacation.
Podcast favorite.
Yeah, right.
Photographers don't vacation in the summer. But sitting around on the couch watching SportsCenter in the morning, and there's Abdou Touré, #1 on SportsCenter, plays of the day, which is impressive. I saw it from 6,000 miles away, but
Yeah.
very cool to see.
Yeah, nice. Very nice. That,
From the tournament up in Springfield. we should say.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. In that Inglewood game of where the
lost
interesting
that
stuff.
game, didn't they?
They lost
They did.
by 1 point, yeah. 1 point. But Abdou was great. Had
From all the highlights, looked
Yeah.
like a great game.
yeah, the other kid. So good day. So a lot of exciting stuff in the SEC coming up. So where are we gonna go eat? Right? So we got a lot of locations, kind of the final segment. So, we're going to be in New Haven. We're going to be in Hamden. We're going to be in Shelton for the boys and girls semifinals. We're going to be in Milford for a couple championships, wrestling and gymnastics. So where our favorite places. I'll start with Milford. Blind Rhino, great wings, moved in Milford. I've never tried Lassie's roast beef as many times as I've gone. It was right next door to Law. And then you always got Colony Pizza.
You get Colony Pizza, which is always happening there.
Yeah.
I'm going to give a shout out when we talk about Hamden. I don't know if you guys have been there, but Haven Beer Company now.
Oh, okay.
A very good eat. Very good hangout, great vibe overall. Watch some baseball playoff games down that way. So that's a little bit out of left field pick, but I think most people that have been around Hamden recently would have put it on their list. Haven, if you can stop in, good food and great atmosphere.
Can't beat Ray and Mike's subs too.
Oh, you can't. That's a classic. That's a classic.
Carmel.
So we hit Rib House last year, which just opened up a location right near Quinnipiac.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right off the connector. When you get off the connector in that first plaza. So, a staple in East Haven is now in Hamden, and a little takeout Rib House there. We hit that last year before the basketball championships, and it was very good. Some wings and
then of course you've got Eli's. You can't go wrong with
Eli's.
Eli's.
Yeah.
Now, if we go to Shelton, that's our favorite place.
Oh.
If you like Mexican, there's only one option. in
Taco
Shelton.
Mita.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Calaruso, good Italian place, has some good deals on the weekends. I just found out. Porky's Wings.
Yep. Okay.
Great place. And Colony Pizza also opened up in Shelton too. So there's some good economic
Colony Pizza
development.
getting a lot of shout outs.
Yes.
Hopefully next week we'll be sponsored by them. So,
Hopefully we'll throw out Chris Drury, former Fairfield Prep star, and then New Haven again. We've mentioned it before. Michelangelo's right down the street from Hill House. Closed on Mondays though. Closed on Mondays. West Haven, again, the parties. Friday, the hockey championship. It's Lent, right? You can't eat meat. Get the Skadal and bean pie from the parties. Very good.
I'm not trying it.
He's
tried to convince us for a while.
Beats, and then in New Haven, you can go to the Beats. So, all right. Well, wow, flying by.
5 episodes complete.
5 episodes complete. So right now, how's it going? Are we doing all right?
We're doing all right.
All right. Get some comments. Push it out.
We got to get some gear. We got to get.
We got the gear ready to go.
Some answers so we can see some gear flying around at the SCC championship.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about Rushmore. I loved one thing you said is what is you were talking about that basketball game. What are the most anticipated games that we've ever experienced in the league? And maybe we can look a little further ahead. What do we anticipate being some of the bigger matchups coming into March, coming into the spring? That really kind of put a light bulb up in my head as what have been these big moments that we've anticipated. And usually they pay off in the SCC. Yep. We have a lot of hype that comes into stuff, and most of the time comes to fruition.
I think the interesting thing about the Tremont Waters year up at Quinnipiac was Hill House and Notre Dame hadn't played each other that year.
That's right.
So you had the best two teams in the league, and that very rarely happens in this league. The two best teams never made it on each other's schedule. So they were clearly on a path all year long to get to that spot. Everybody wanted to see that game.
All right. So first of all, thanks everybody for your support of the SCC. Winter support our student athletes and teams during the winter. Thanks for watching Chasing Banners. I appreciate John, Matt, another great job, and look forward to keeping this going. But to everybody, enjoy the cold weather, but the indoor championships that are coming through, and let's keep chasing because this is a fun time. Thanks, everybody.